Tom.
Liz Kreutz, who was in court for us today. Liz, we thank you. For more on Bryan Kohberger's plea deal, I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Jeremy Saland. Jeremy, thanks so much for being here. I mean, when you listened to that play out in court and as prosecutors in Leda County sort of detailed what they had, the evidence was overwhelming, correct?
Absolutely. When you're looking to check boxes off in terms of should I go forward on this case, can I go forward on this case, and can I prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, they were checked. You have DNA, you had cell site information putting him near the location of the murders. You had the vehicle, you had the bushy eyebrows. You had what you needed to move forward, but you waited to the last minute, relatively speaking, to come to this conclusion and an offer.
We can never get in the mind of a killer. Maybe one day Kohberger will talk about why he did this. Those families will not know the motive. They won't know why their kids were picked. And they won't know why he kept killing after he killed his first two victims. But I do want to ask you, for somebody who was a PhD in criminology, he seemed to have made a lot of mistakes.
Well, let's not conflate a good degree or working on your PhD in criminology as someone who can do this and get away with it. Yeah. It speaks for itself. We hear people all the time of arrogance and mistakes and sort of just greed in who I am, messing things up. And he made a lot of mistakes. Maybe he wanted to be caught, I don't know. But ultimately he got caught, and the evidence was overwhelmingly strong to indicate that he did it, and he did it really brutally.
You know, the judge, the first thing he did was sort of address the court of public opinion. He said his office had been inundated with calls, people demanding the death penalty. Then he was saying, listen, I have no control over that. He was being honest with everyone there. How tough was it for prosecutors to take that plea deal, do you think?
You know, that's a great question. I was a prosecutor here in Manhattan for a long time, and you do things not because they're easy, you do things because they're right. And you'd like to think that really guided them, but there's a real practical reality, too. This is a small municipality or jurisdiction, pardon me. Did they have the financial power to deal with an appeal, to deal with this throughout that entirety of the process? Do they have the person power, the sweat equity power to take this in terms of that time and effort to get a conviction, and there's other matters going on around them. And then there's just this sense of closure. Though you heard from one family member, I'm really opposed, I'm appalled, and then you heard from 100% support from another. It's a tough spot, but a disappointing one from what it seems to be for a lack of notice to get to that point. And I'd say one other thing. There was a point when Kohberger's team was fighting the death penalty, and the prosecution opposed that. Well, why did we now come to this conclusion? We could have done that a long time ago.
Good point. Jeremy Saland, so great to have you on Top Story. We thank you for your analysis. In California tonight, an urgent search is underway for 7 people